right, very good evening to you. It's late night talk with Kofi Bartels. I apologize. They say computer is garbage in, garbage out. Don't ask me to put garbage into the computer, but one or two difficulties, technical difficulties, but we sorted it out. And so we're here. Tonight on Late Night Talk, we have a story for you. And the story is quite simple, and it's something I'm sure that you will like to hear about, you'd like to see or hear, talk to the person involved, because it involves something that we've been talking about, we've been discussing for some time now. A medical doctor was on her way home from work, I believe, or to work, and was assaulted by uniformed men, whom she says are security agents of a particular uniformed organization or uniformed security organization, and they assaulted her. We'll be sharing her story. She'll be telling us what really happened, because she has refused to keep quiet, and she has refused to lay low, but she has gone all out to say, I will not stop until justice is served. She was slapped by the security officers who arrested her on account of walking on the street, even though we had a COVID-19 lockdown in Port Harcourt. She said she was going home from work or to work. But they didn't want to hear that story. And guess where they took her to? They took her to an isolation center. An isolation center. I'm guessing the Elekahia Sports Stadium or somewhere like that, where she was detained until somebody up in government got wind of it and ordered that she be released. This is a story of COVID-19 in River State. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Late Night Talk. My name is Kofi Bartels. Please don't forget you can drop your comments anywhere in the comment section. I'll be very glad to read from you. Okay, and don't forget also, Port Harcourt lockdown has been eased, and we can all go out tomorrow. His Excellency the Governor of River State has said that in a statewide broadcast, which I missed. I didn't know it was going to be a statewide broadcast, and he has said that. Also, it's not an easing of the lockdown for everybody. There are restrictions. So we'll get you some of the details as we go if time permits. But I'd like to say good evening and welcome to our guest for tonight. Her name is none other than a medical doctor, Dr. Avwebo Ochuko Otoide. Did I get the name right, please?
Yes, you did. Good evening, Kofi. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, even at such short notice. Dr. Avwebo Ochuko Otoide is a medical doctor based here in River State in Port Harcourt. And as you know, medical workers, health workers are on the front line in the fight against coronavirus, and also providing the much-needed health services to Nigerians who are in need and can't go out, can't move around freely. Dr. Ochuko Otoide, can you tell us what happened to you, when and where?
Okay, that's a Monday the 18th. About 5 p.m. in the evening, I had need to pick up a particular drug at a pharmacy, which I did, and I dropped it to someone who lived around my house. So I was heading back to a clinic where I was supposed to attend to some patients. So I was just walking from my house to the clinic, strolling distance. At that time, if you recall, the weather was a bit wet. There was a light drizzle. So I saw the vehicles coming. It was light blue Hilux, and then the luxury bus behind it, both of them light blue. The police lights, red and blue, were flashing. So I assumed that it was an escort vehicle. There were two armed military or paramilitary personnel hanging at the back of the Hilux like they normally do. And so, being that I was essential services, I have my ID cards, I have my pass, I wasn't worried. I just kept on strolling down. They got close to me, and one of the armed men just jumped down and pointed his weapon at me. His hands were on the trigger.
He pointed his weapon at you?
Yes, he pointed his weapon at me. His fingers were on the trigger, and he was like, stop right there. And I was, you don't need to point your weapon at me. You just ask me who I am. And he was like, who are you? I said, I'm a medical doctor. Before I could finish the sentence, before I could wring out my ID card, I was slapped.
You were slapped?
I was slapped. I received a heavy blow on the side of my face. And, all I heard at that time was him saying something like, "Are you the first medical doctor?" Now, of course, it took me a while to regain myself. And by the time I did, I noticed that every other personnel, apart from the drivers, had come out. So I was basically like surrounded by this people who I later found out were members of the Air Force.
Members of the Nigerian Air Force?
The Nigerian Air Force, yes.
Okay.
So they seemed to be confused as to why he slapped me, just like I was confused. And I asked him, I said, "I tell you I'm a medical doctor and you slapped me." And he was like, he didn't say anything. Those who just came out of the vehicle were like, "You didn't identify yourself." I said, "I did. I identified myself." And I pointed to the second officer who was standing at the back of the Hilux. I said, "You were right there. You heard me. I identified myself." And he heard me because he said, "Am I the first medical doctor?" So he knew that I was a medical doctor. I said, "Okay, is he mad? If you identified yourself, will he hit you?" After you told him you're a medical doctor, we have been seeing medical doctors all day. We've been seeing nurses. Will he hit you? I said, "Maybe you should ask him." They now said, "Then you must have been rude to him." I said, "In the how many seconds conversation we just had, how could I have been rude to him?" The only thing I said to him was like, "You don't have to point your weapon in my face." They were now like, they left the whole matter and began to argue the pointing weapon. He wasn't pointing his weapon at you. I said, "But he was." He had his left hand hanging onto the car. The right hand was holding his gun, and his fingers were on the trigger. So which hand did he say he was just using it to block you? I said, "He's pointing the weapon in my direction to block me. What's the difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying?" At that point, someone who seemed to be more senior came and told them, "Oh, just leave her. Let's go. That's all. Let's just go." I told them, "Sorry, it's not as simple as you think. You just slapped me. No apologies were made. Instead, you guys are excusing it. And then you want to walk away and leave me on the side of the road." I said, "This is not going to end as simply as you think." So I brought out my phone, as in to attempt to take pictures since they were planning to leave. And as I did that, they rushed back at me, began to struggle with me, and took that phone. So I realized that they weren't going to let me, do what I wanted to do. I started to, paying attention to details. I noticed that none of the vehicles had a number plate. And most of the guys who were standing with me were wearing this combat trousers, military issue boots, and a black T-shirt with the military emblem there on the arm. But there were no name tags, no names. So none of them had forms of identification. Now, the few of them who had their full uniform on, that their jacket would always have their name. They were moving away from me. They were entering the vehicles and making it difficult for me to see. So I brought out my second phone, and I started trying to take a picture. At that point in time, they came and started struggling, and this time I held onto the phone. I started putting my armpit and squeezed my hands from me. So they kept struggling with me, and they were like, "Okay, just carry her into the luxury bus."
My God. Which
they did. So they forcefully bundled me and dumped me in the luxury bus, and they're like, stay at the back. Then all of them moved to the front. So where I was quite dark. Getting a picture of them became harder. And I was asking, "Where are you taking me to?" They can lock the door from the driver's seat, so you can't really open it. So they just locked all the doors. "Where are you taking me to?" They just kept driving down that Ohiamini psychiatric road. So I started making calls immediately. I called the hospital directors. I called my enemy executives. I started calling my senior colleagues and even my colleagues. So I just kept calling anybody. And, of course, everybody kept calling me back. So my phone kept ringing, and we were on conversations throughout. I realized at the point that I hadn't gotten any pictures. So eventually they stopped at some point, and another person rushed in and started struggling to get the phone away from me again because they were like, "Who is she calling?" In that process, they broke my phone screen. So I was like, you not only slapped me, you've not only molested me, now you have damaged my phone.
This is the second phone?
Yes, the second phone. They're taking the first one. This is the second phone. So this is not going to end as easy as you all think. And then the same guy who told them to leave me in the first place came back and said, "I told you guys, don't struggle with her. Let's just go and drop her at the isolation center." So at this point, they did a U-turn and took me to the isolation center and dropped me there. As I was coming down, one of the officers started fighting me again. He said, "She has taken my picture." He was trying to get the phone out of my hand. And, in the process of that struggle, I noticed that the vehicle with the Hilux, with the man who slapped me, was doing a quick reverse and about to drive out. So I was trying to get the attention of somebody who I thought, had some authority, and telling him, "I'm a medical doctor. these people picked me up and slapped me on the road. They have abused me. They've assaulted me. I just need to take a picture of them or some form of identification. Please don't let them leave. And they were like, no, you don't take pictures here. You can't do that here. They were now also trying to get my phone out of me.
This is who are these people?
These are the isolation center now.
People, okay.
Yeah, the police officers there were like, no, you can't take pictures. Why you, in short, give us the phone. Meanwhile, the military guys on my back also struggling to get the phone.
Oh, man.
And then some other people are telling me, you have to sit on the floor. You are a suspect. And, I'm like, I'm a medical doctor. I have my practice. I have no business here. The only business I have is with these guys. And if you let them get away, you will identify them for me. Because you won't have this kind of attitude and we cannot address it. So while I was still talking, those ones drove away. I didn't notice initially, but I noticed later that one of the officers from the luxury bus had gone to a guy who perhaps was in charge and had given him some sort of information and given him my phone.
Okay.
Because as I turned, I saw him running back into the bus, and that bus also turned and left. So in less than a minute, the two vehicles had left the isolation center. Of course, I wasn't pleased, and I kept telling them, like, you let them get away. You're going to identify these people to me. And at the isolation center, of course, I don't know what information was given to the man in charge, but he was just shouting.
Okay.
And he was like, how can I come here and I will not follow the rules? That it is not, like follows. He was swearing by himself that he's going to make sure I'm locked up for 24 hours.
Oh, really?
And he's going to make sure, just making threats. And I wasn't paying attention to him. I saw someone else who I thought, was acting in a more responsible way. So I approached that one and tried to tell him what was happening. And he now told me the other man who is shouting is his boss. Now, at this point, that one was very upset that I hadn't given him face. And so he was like telling the police officers they should lock me and they should get my phone. And I was telling them, nobody's touching my phone. My phone contains evidence and I'm not handing over my phone. They're like, she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know where she is. We'll see how you hold on to this phone. So at the point, one of the police officers told me, yeah, come this way, come this way. They had a gated area, apparently. I don't know what they usually do there. There was a chair there. At least they won't ask me to sit on the floor.
Okay.
They asked me to go in there. And he now said, we don't allow people in detention, police detention, to hold their phones.
Oh,
he called a female police officer.
Okay.
Her name was Chukwuemeka Gary. I handed my phone to her and I told her, I'm giving you this phone and you're going to be accountable for it. Of course, as I'm talking, they're all mocking me like she doesn't know who she is and doesn't know where she is. So I handed the phone to her and they locked me up. But in about 2 minutes, I heard the man in charge shouting, open the door, bring her out, bring her out. Now, all those calls I was making, apparently people had called around. They had called the Attorney General, they had called the Commissioner of Police, they had called the DPO, SARS commander. They were just calling everybody because initially I didn't identify the assailants as Airforce people.
Okay.
So they were calling the police, they were calling everybody they could call, and everybody was trying to identify who had taken this doctor off the street. So by the time the Attorney General called, he asked to speak with me. The phone was given to me, and he was very nice and apologized and asked me what happened, and I explained and assured me that they were going to get to the bottom of it and that I was going to be released immediately. And then he spoke to the man in charge, who I later found out was the PSO, Mr. Rekete, and asked him to, get things sorted out. He apologized.
Is this the one who threatened
the one
you
that
before?
was promising to lock me? Yeah.
Okay.
He started. So there was like a U-turn.
Oh,
He
wow.
began to apologize and explain that I didn't understand. If I had explained to him properly, he would have locked up the stadium and made sure that we could identify the boys before they could leave and stuff.
Okay.
But now that they have gone, it's going to be very difficult to track them down. So basically, I felt like I was getting a lot of platitudes and the usual, just let it go, just let it go. These things won't work. And I was really upset because I'm thinking to myself, like, if I am not a doctor, would I have slept in that place for 24 hours? Will my rights have been abused? Because I've already been assaulted, I've been slapped, even knowing I'm a doctor, even though I'm supposed to have some permission, some power in this time to move. Despite all of that, I've been treated like this. So what happens to the ordinary man who does not have the backing of a Nigerian Medical Association, who cannot have access to the Attorney General of the Federation,
Exactly.
who nobody is calling DPOs for him.
Exactly.
So if I could end up being treated like this, and at the end of the day you say they have gone, so we cannot hold them accountable, just take sorry and fix your phone by yourself, and don't worry, we'll take it to your house, then, if my rights can still be abused to this extent, and I have a voice, I have a platform, I can do something about it. What about those who can't talk?
Yeah.
Who knows how
Exactly.
much has happened? And if we continue to let such things slide, it will only get worse.
Exactly.
More interesting to me was the manner in which he was brandishing his weapon.
Okay.
Today, it's a slap. Tomorrow, it could be accidental discharge, and you kill the doctor, and then you say, that he was rude. What would they say at this time? Or that he didn't properly identify himself? Because in more civilized countries, just the fact that you're pointing a gun at me is a crime. In my general direction, it's a crime.
Absolutely.
This is not even when you are aiming and your hands are on the trigger. It's considered a crime. Now, from the beginning, that is unnecessary aggression. Then you start to hit a female unarmed civilian on the road. And this is one who is a doctor. At this time, is being celebrated. At this time, they are giving certain preferences. And you're doing that. So what will happen to the young lady on the road who hasn't had enough education and has no family background or any social support? Anything could happen to her. Her dignity could be totally destroyed. She could be harassed in the most outrageous ways and not have a voice. And so I refuse to keep quiet because I don't know what my silence is going to cost the next person. And that's why I'm out today and I'm talking. The only individual among this team whose name I got was a Bass, M-O, Bass, B-A-S-S-M-O. And
okay, can you repeat the name, please?
Bass, B-A-S-S. That's B for ball, A for apple, S for snake, S for snake. Bass, M for mango, O for orange. So Bass, M-O. That was the name I saw. He's the one that broke my phone screen. And I was confident. I told him before he left that you will produce every individual involved in this. So if I can identify that individual on the Airforce, I'm sure he'll be able to identify everybody, including the person who slapped me. And as long as we put this out there and make it clear that we're not going to tolerate this kind of abuse, at least the next time any of our armed forces is coming in contact with any civilian, they would think twice before taking violence as the first line of action.
Absolutely. My oh my. If you're just joining us, it's Late Night Talk. My name is Kofi Bartels. You've been listening to Dr. Avwebo Ochuko Otoide, a medical doctor, a health practitioner, an essential worker based in Port Harcourt, River State. And she said she was on her way home from work. Doctor, when again did this happen?
It happened on Ohiamini Psychiatric Road. That's the road beside the university, the Polytechnic, Port Harcourt Polytechnic.
When was this, please?
Off Rumola. This was around 5 o'clock in the evening.
Yesterday, day before yesterday?
On Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
It's quite unfortunate. If you're listening right now, please feel free to drop your comments. If you're watching live on YouTube, feel free to drop your comments on Facebook. Feel free to drop your comments as well. People are listening to your story and they're just getting so upset. I can see so many comments here. I'll be reading them as we go on. Bambi, good evening to you. Desire Peter Madueke, good evening to you. Golden Ricardo, good evening to you. Golden Ricardo says you are against this state. So, Golden Ricardo, who is against this state? Is it me or Dr. Otoide? Please clarify. And if it's me, tell me why you think I'm against River State and for helping the citizens whose rights have been trampled on to get their stories out there. You're sitting behind a phone and you are typing this. I don't know who is against River State, really, you or me. We have another one. Ambassador Junior the Fourth says, wow. Athens Awa says, good evening. Thank you very much. Edward Osuruchi says, a medical doctor again. Dufwan Mandela Sampson says, which station, please? Well, you're watching, so of course, this is where you have to be. Henry Okoro says, good evening. Okay, Joy Morris says, about Governor Wiki relaxing lockdown to make it, it makes no sense. Animals, okay, I'm not going to read that. Joy Morrow says, okay, we don't have enough megabytes. Sorry about that. This is Timothy Paul Omojesu says, good evening. I'm watching you live here in Barnawa, Jerry, Kaduna. Okay, nice to know you're watching. Timothy Paul, good evening to you. Illustrious Gogo Nathan says, Lagos Nigeria Medical Association asked doctors to stay at home over harassment of more than 50 essential workers, including doctors, were said to have been arrested by the Lagos police on Tuesday following directive of Mohammed Adamu, Inspector General of Police. Okay, so that's in Lagos State. Marilyn Tamino Emi Ibine is watching from Port Harcourt. Good evening to you. She says exactly, the lockdown has been eased up over 6 days only. And she says, wow, she even had an ID card with her. This is pathetic. Talking about Dr. Ochuko Otoide, who had an ID card. And says, what? Slapped? Oh, my. And Marilyn says, oh, my word, this is sad. Kenneth Ibiame says, Kofi, the problem is that those illiterate policemen, they're not policemen, according to, well, okay, those who detained her in the isolation center was a police person, the police were involved. Says they are without good qualification, and that's embarrassing the government. I know a senior medical doctor who was embarrassed too. They should withdraw their services immediately. This one is saying, okay, I'll just skip this. Adaye Dixon, good evening to you, my brother. Thank you very much. People are just shocked over here, and they're asking, suspected of what, Biko? Police detention for what? Nigeria. It's really horrible indeed. Marilyn, thank you very much. Blessing Essie says, it's very appalling the way they treat medical personnel. Kev ABM says, I'm billed for training on COVID-19, but I had to tell my boss I won't come despite my ID card and a pass due to foolishness of the security agencies on the road. Word Made Alive says, this is horrific, terrifying, and unacceptable. Okay, thank you very much. And someone says it's really unfortunate. Blessing Easy says, and the general populace as a whole, they get more emboldened because they're always getting away with it. Ibiene Roland Ogunda says, it never goes beyond apology. So I'll read more of your comments, so please keep them coming in. I'll come back to you, Avwebo Ochuko. You had your ID card with you, and if you're just joining us, Late Night Talk today has a medical doctor who was slapped by security agencies. Her phone was snatched from her. The other phone was cracked. The screen was broken. She was dragged into a security a vehicle, a bus, and driven to the Port Harcourt Isolation Center at the Yakubu Gowon Stadium, Alakahia, Port Harcourt, where she was detained at night. She was arrested, molested, and detained while on her home from work in a hospital somewhere in Port Harcourt as an essential service provider. She showed the security man her ID card. Despite showing her the ID card, the security officer who slapped her said, now only you be doctor. Am I right, Dr. Otoide?
Yes, you're right.
He said, now only you be doctor.
Are you the first doctor?
Oh, Are you
that was the statement.
Are you the first doctor? Are you serious? And so she was taken straight to the Port Harcourt Isolation Center, and where she was detained. How long were you detained for?
I wasn't there for more than an hour because this whole drama started about 10 minutes past 5, and I was already back at the hospital in Nigeria by 6:48. So I think, I spent just about an hour there, before I was sent home.
It's unfortunate. When they told you you were being taken to the isolation center, which is a very funny one for me. From the first day I heard it, from a very powerful person's mouth. What went through your mind? How did you feel?
Okay, for me, it wasn't so scary. Why? Because the isolation center is doctors that are working there. This is what we do every day. You can't send a doctor to an isolation center in the name of punishment. They won't be afraid. Because the people who I'm gonna meet in the isolation center are my colleagues. And as soon as they see me, the first thing they're going to do is give me personal protective equipment to make sure that I don't get infected. And the second thing is that they're going to ask me to assist. And if I don't want to assist, I'm going home. However, I didn't anticipate that I'm going to meet a lot of security officials who would also be a bit disrespectful and rough with you. Because as soon as I landed in the isolation center, the first thing that came out of my mouth is I'm a medical doctor and don't have any business here. Yes, I was still asked to sit on the floor.
You were
Yes,
asked.
I was still told I was asked to sit on the floor.
You were asked to
I
sit on
refused.
the floor.
Yes,
On the grass there, the artificial grass.
They hid not the grass, the tracks. They moved to the side, and they had a group of people all sitting on the floor.
We have pictures. We have pictures right now shown on the screen for those who are watching of people sitting on the tartan tracks. So there were people there at night.
Yeah, they had people sitting on the floor, and they wanted me to join them. I told them, I'm sure I'm not the only person who is here who should not be here, but I'm not going to sit on that floor.
Wow.
Wow. Sometimes there are so many things that happen in our society, and we have learned to accept it for fear of being abused, fear of being short-killed because people don't have a voice, and you don't know tomorrow if you have an opportunity to tell your story. So leave first. I could imagine that some of those people on the floor probably were feeling very undignified, very abused, very insulted. But the boldness to speak up and say, why were you asking me to sit on the floor? It wasn't there. So me saying that, even though one of the senior police officers were like, are you even a woman talking like this? And I looked at her like, what?
One of the police officers.
Am I supposed to come here and beg you? Or am I supposed to sit on the floor humbly? So that when you are seeing my degree of humility, you will now pay attention to what I'm saying. I mean, it seemed like it was normal. And at some point, they were shouting at me that if you didn't do anything, why would they slap you? And I told them, is this not Nigeria? Is this the first time you guys are abusing people for no reason? And nobody answered me. I'm talking to the police now, and they were looking at me. Okay, they should have said, oh, we don't do that. But they didn't even have the boldness to say that because these things have been happening for so long, and we just let it go. So I think they didn't expect me to be as stubborn as I was. They didn't expect that with brandishing weapons I would speak. I think maybe they expected a lot more intimidation than that I displayed. And oh yes, I paid the price for it. I got slapped, I got harassed, I got thrown in somewhere and locked up. But thank God I didn't have my life is with me, and I didn't have any serious injuries.
Okay,
that's what I'm happy for. But thinking back at it now, it could have gone anyway. Okay. It could have been a horrible experience.
Yes, absolutely. And why are you? Because you published your story online. It's been circulating, and it's been trending. Why are you, pursuing this?
Why am I pushing?
Yes, why are you pursuing this? What's the motive? Yes.
Yeah.
Some would say, you know what? Nah, just forget that thing, or just let it go. So why are you still pursuing it?
Yeah, I've actually been advised to let it go. I thought of it. If it's my phone, I can fix it. It's not gonna be the first or the last phone I will take. I've been slapped. Okay, fine. I didn't die, but I can't imagine closing my mouth. What if the very next person that has to experience this dies? I remember once I was robbed, and the robber didn't use a knife, but he struggled with me and seized my phone. And when I realized I wasn't going to get my phone back, I wanted to just let the case go. Okay. And the SARS officer told me, he says, you are the problem of society.
Told you you are the problem of society?
Yeah. He said the government has made it possible for us to take violent criminals off the street so that society will be safer. But once you realize that you're not going to get what you want, you put them back on the street. Today, he didn't use a knife. If the next person he robbed, he uses a knife and slashes her throat, it will be your fault.
Wow.
When he told me that, I had to pursue the case, even though I knew I wasn't going to get my phone back. That's the same reason why I'm pursuing this case. Because I've been slapped. They're not going to unslap me. Neither am I going to ask for the individual who slapped me to come so I can slap him back. It's not going to do anything for me. But there's rules, and there's justice, and there's dignity of humanity, and there's a society that we need to fix. And if we keep burying our heads in the sand, it's only going to get worse. And if tomorrow I have to wear black armbands for one of my colleagues when I could have done something to make it easier or harder for security officers to manage, to handle civilians with this degree of violence, and I didn't do it, I'll feel guilty. I haven't played my part. So right now I have to do what I have to do. I have a platform. Not everybody does. I have an association backing me. Not everybody does. I have a voice. Not everybody does. So if I keep quiet, who's going to talk?
I must commend your bravery. I must commend your boldness, Dr. Otoide, in coming out to share your story, agreeing to talk, even to show your face, even in standing up to those security men, refusing to give them your phone. You know, when I heard this story for the first time, I saw the write-up on the Facebook wall of somebody who is my Facebook friend. I said, oh my God, this man is a strong man. You know, this man is stood up for himself. Because I was literally picturing what he went through, because I've been through something similar, you know, with SARS before, and it's well documented. So I said, this man is a strong man. And when I called you and you picked up the phone, I was about to ask you, can I please speak to Dr. Otoide? You know why? Why? Because never in my wildest imagination will I expect or think that any officer, be it police, military, whatsoever, with uniform of the federal government would have the mind, who is a man, will have the mind to drag for a phone with a woman, a female medical doctor. You know, that I expect that no matter how bad they are, when they see a lady, because a medical doctor is not just somebody who's just walking around like that. You are a responsible person that no matter how bad they feel, after that episode, they won't even start dragging the phone with you. You know, let me put the way people understand. They won't start dragging phone with you. You know, so for me to even think about the fact that it was a lady doctor who was harassed, slapped, and then when she took the video, the guys tried to drag the phone from you, and you had to struggle with them. You had to struggle with them and then hold on to the phone. They had guns. They were pointing the guns at you, but you held on to the phone, and they were trying to drag. See, there's nothing that uniformed security men fear. A few things they fear as much as they fear phone recordings. I was there. They can let a criminal go, but phone recording, no, they will descend. So for me to begin to hear that it was a lady doctor who they tried to drag a phone from, and they threw into a car, it is totally appalling. And this is not just, you know, harassment of a medical doctor. This violence against a woman.
Women. Yeah.
And in a society, I mean, I'm not a female rights activist or all that. I believe in human rights. But in a society where the ladies do not even have privileges and they're starting from a losing position, we all need to do everything to protect women to start with. So it's not just an assault on a doctor. This is an assault on a woman. And it is totally unacceptable in our society. It is totally, my heart breaks. I'm telling you, I thought when you picked my call, I didn't imagine that they would do this to a woman. When you picked my call and you said hello, I wanted to say, please, can I speak to your husband? My heart is broken, really. How? So, doctor, you're a brave woman. You're a strong woman. The way you stood your ground, even some men won't stand their ground like that. The way you stood your ground, even some men won't stand their ground like that. You put yourself on the line, because I know you were not doing it for just yourself. You wanted to prove a point that we cannot continue to allow this nonsense in Nigeria. And you said it, that if you don't pursue this, the next time it could be somebody, and it may end up being another story. We know the lady, the policewoman who was trying to help some traders and plead with this government task force who were trying to arrest people trading, who were said to be violating government's executive order, and a fellow policeman pulled the trigger and she died. And of course she's not coming back again. She's not coming back again. You know, so people will come and say all sorts of things. Let it go. It's government. You don't fear. All that kind of thing. River State, don't make the governor. Rubbish. We can't continue to hide, suffer, and smile. Doc, you are the man. You are more manly than those shameful, disgraceful Air Force officers. You are more manly than them. You are more manly. And for standing up, you're a hero. Because you're standing up for the Nigerian. You said something that touched me. You said that what if it was somebody who didn't have connections? What if it was someone who didn't belong to an association like the Nigerian Medical Association? Didn't have anyone to call, such that the Attorney General, who's a man I respect so much, will pick the phone and politely say, sorry about what happened. What if it was? So you can imagine, you said something that there were quite a number of people you're sure who are on the floor there at the stadium, isolation center, who are equally innocent, who are just picked up because they looked at someone the bad way. If you had sat down there just quietly like that, you'd have been there. And the truth is, the authorities in River State, the governor, the police, the CP, the head of the Air Force, would they say anything? It's unfortunate. I'd like to read some messages here. But this doctor was on her way home from work. She saw some cars coming, a Hilux, and then a bus with lights. And she thought it would just pass, maybe an escort. They stopped and jumped out and said, who are you? Or where are you going or something? And she produced an ID card. She was calm about it because she knew she hadn't done anything wrong. She says, I'm a medical doctor. And before she could say Jack Robinson, a slap landed on her cheek. Twa! And he said, are you the first doctor in this country? People who have uniforms, security uniforms and a gun, and do such things are cowards. Because without the uniform and the gun, they cannot stand up to some of you out there. If you think because of a uniform and then a gun, it gives you the right to slap somebody, you are the biggest coward. You are the biggest coward. So they slapped her. She tried to film. They seized her first phone. When they turned back to go away, she tried to take pictures of the car and all that so she could follow up. And they came back. They tried to seize the phone from her. She resisted, and they dragged her into the bus and took her to Port Harcourt Isolation Center. The isolation center set up by the River State government, where it has become practice for the authorities, including His Excellency the Governor, to detain defaulters of the lockdown at the isolation center, which is absurd. It's absurd. Your Excellency, it is absurd. It is absurd, sir. So if your advisors are not telling you, I love you so much, I will not be afraid. Sir, it is absurd. They are not telling you, me, Kofi Bartels, I love you, Mr. Governor. It is absurd. Please stop. Your Excellency, stop sending people who may not have coronavirus to the isolation center. It is absurd. And sir, it is not speaking well of you. It is absurd. Your Excellency, please stop. With all due respect to you, stop. It is going to taint, it is tainting the hard work you've put in as far as coronavirus in River State is concerned. It is tainting it because it is inexplicable and it's indefensible. Dr. Todd, you're a medical doctor. I mean, I'm not a medical health person. I didn't study in school. To me, as a lay person with no medical background, I see that absurd detaining people at an isolation center meant for those who have coronavirus. Is it normal? Does it make sense? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I will take it with all humility.
Of course, it's not normal. Doesn't sound like what we should be doing. Ideally, if you found people who faulted the lockdown and you wanted to punish them or you wanted to isolate them or you wanted to keep them somewhere, it's fine if you found another location, but to put both infected patients and people without disease in the same location, and the whole purpose of this punishment is to teach them the importance of preventing this disease from spreading, it just seems like an irony, you know. It seems like an irony. But I never actually believed until I went there that anybody was going to be detained in the isolation center. Because even the doctors there would not allow patients without the disease to come in. But that they are even in the environment increases the risk of transmission. It's not a safe place for them to be. Now, I found it even more scary that they were sitting on the floor. I mean, what about hygiene? What about the hand washing? What about the face mask? What about the liquid soap and the sanitizer? What are they doing on the floor? You know? Now, if they catch any other kind of infection, how do we differentiate on time that what you have is just an upper respiratory tract infection and is not COVID, since you've been around the isolation center and you have been handled in such a way that was totally unhygienic. So it's a bit of it's a bit of an irony that is the action we chose to dissuade people from breaking the lockdown rules.
My sister, I don't know what to say. We're looking at pictures right now of people detained in the isolation center. I'm weak. And they're sitting on the floor. Look at some of the beds. This is not particularly the Port Harcourt isolation center, the beds you're seeing, but these are examples of the inside ward of isolation center. You can see the beds there. These beds are for sick people, ill people, and not a place where people go sit on the floor, locked up, detained. You can see His Excellency the Governor inspecting the isolation center, which is a good one by the River State government. It's good, to put this together. This is one of those days where people were arrested by the governor and taken to the isolation center. The video was viral. He said, take them to the arrest them and take them to the isolation center. Look at defaulters sitting in the sun, in the open sun on the floor with absolutely no social distancing whatsoever. Some of them don't have masks. And this is meant to be a place where they keep people who have coronavirus. I don't know if there are any people in the place there, because I know they have someone in LMA as well. I don't know. But it looks absurd. And doctor says it's not normal. What else can I say? I'm weak. Dr. Tore, please permit me to read some messages. So I have messages coming from YouTube and Facebook. We'll put this again online after this conversation so that we can have a replay.
Okay.
Marilyn Tamremi Ibine says it's really unfortunate. Blessing as he says, and the general populace as a whole, they get more emboldened because they'll always get away with it. I'm sure about the security people there. DK Wanko says, what nonsense is this happening in River State? Lawa Salisu says, it's really unfortunate. Thank God for your life. That's he's talking to you, Dr. Toide. Israel Madu says, Governor must tell the citizens exactly what he's up to. Okay, this was not the governor, by the way. But it says, using the military to enforce lockdown compliance is not good. Something should be done very urgent, please. Don't forget, I think the news flew around that the police was withdrawn from the River State Task Force. I am not totally sure about that because I didn't see an official statement from the police. But Dr. Toda, you say you saw police officers at the isolation center?
Yeah, so some police officers at the isolation center.
Okay. Okay.
I think they also have their role. I don't know what exactly. Maybe to escort the infected victims, maybe to escort the staff who are working there, or maybe just maintain some sort of security so that patients don't run away. We have seen situations of patients running away. Whatever their purpose were, I don't know. I wasn't the one who put them there, so I can't say if they're doing their job or not. But to start detaining me in the isolation center, actually, I felt that was quite ridiculous. As in, now you have a detention area where you actually open a gate and push people in there and lock it up, so that they have their makeshift jail in the isolation center. So it was bad enough you had people sit on the floor. Now you have somewhere you can lock them up and put put the key around your neck and feel powerful. Doesn't make sense.
So the place they lock people up, like you said, is this behind near the tartan tracks or somewhere in an enclosed, like a room? Or is this an open space?
Under the staircases of the
stadium.
Of the stadium state. There are areas where there are gates, like the entrances and stuff like that. So they open one of the gates, push you in there, and lock it. And so they have designed their own kind of jail. I found it ridiculous. But I knew I was going to stay there longer, and I was the only person I met in there.
What?
They just put me there. Everybody else was outside.
What was
That's not normal.
What was in there under the staircase of the stadium? What was there? Was it a room? Did they?
It's just a dirty. No, it's just the stand. It's just a dirty area. It's just a gated area. You know, we try to limit the crowd motion in the stadium, just moving certain gates and not all rush through one gate, so you don't have crowd events, or you don't have a mob. So I think that's what those gates were designed for. But there are areas that once you open the gate, you cannot access the other side. So it can be an enclosure, just under the seat.
So it's just
there's a gate in front.
It's just a place under the staircase, and it has a gate, and nothing is there. Just a dirty place.
Yes, just sealed. But they put a seat for me in there, though.
What kind of seat? Bench or chair or plastic chair?
Plastic chair, white plastic chair. There was one in there.
What time of the night was this?
What time of the day?
Or was it a daytime or nighttime?
It was in the evening. It wasn't yet dark. It was about 6 o'clock at this time.
Okay. So there's just a place to throw people in. Do we have activity in that isolation center at the Avwebo Ochuko Stadium? Maybe patients there, health workers there.
I didn't get the question, sir.
Okay, I mean, do we have people being treated in the isolation center?
Oh, I didn't enter into the tent. There's a tent in the middle of the stadium. I believe that's where the infected patients are in, and it was sealed up. The doctors who come outside were no longer on their PPEs. So they must have somewhere where they take off the PPEs inside the tent. So I didn't go into the tent.
But you saw doctors there.
They should have people in there. Yes, there are doctors there, there are nurses there.
Great.
You know.
Of course.
But they're only attending to sick people. I don't think they have any activities with those who are being detained for breaking the law.
So we can safely say that the possibility of people who are sick is high because we have medical doctors there, and that worries me. It is absolutely highly disturbing. Do you suspect that all those can you place a number on how many people you saw there on the floor being detained?
I think there are about 12 of them on the floor.
Okay. Do you suspect that they will be let go that night? I mean, if you don't know, that's no problem. But I mean, if you were to guess.
Well, I won't be able to answer that.
Okay.
I don't know. I was busy fighting my own battle.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but there were about 12 people on the floor. Most of them were male. So I don't know much about what goes on in there.
Okay, Abraham Izerain, Michael says this is terribly disheartening. Juliet O'Keel Zota says we're finished in this country. Who will save us? It is a question I keep asking myself. We have Ebienju Olaka says is appalling. The conduct of our security agencies who are expected to protect our lives and property. The irresponsibility and recklessness is unbecoming. I expect better of the Airforce. Okay, that's on YouTube. Richard Prier Tuage says, I don't want to say much, but this is one truth. If the doctor doesn't take this case up, then the common Nigerians don't have any hope. The Nigeria police is worse than criminals these days. All right, but those officers were Air Force officers. Adaye Dixon says this lockdown is uncalled for. Kedel Ibiang says it is really appalling that the security officials in Nigeria have used this lockdown period to assault and harass citizens unlawfully. As a doctor myself, I'm very happy about the decision of the NMA. What is the NMA in River State doing about this, Dr. Otoide?
Okay, the NMA has released a statement on the matter. They have also engaged the Nigerian Air Force, and they are investigating, trying to identify the individuals who were involved in these assaults, and they are going to do everything in their power to ensure that some form of redress is done. We are working together. We are putting together all our forces, all our social connections, and putting pressure on officials who were at the COVID center, as well as the leadership of the Nigerian Air Force in River State to identify the individuals and met out appropriate punishment and compensation.
Will you be going to court to seek redress, or you just stop? If indeed they are sanctioned, do you need any form of compensation?
At this time, we haven't decided on that.
Okay.
What we want to do now is to first and foremost identify the individual. Like,
Okay.
I didn't get the name of the person who slapped me, but I did get the name of the person who smashed my phone.
Okay.
And once we can identify the individual, based on the communication or the interaction we have with the Nigerian Airforce, assuming that these men are really members of the Nigerian Airforce, we'll know.
Okay.
It's not like I'm trying to do retribution. If I go to court, what would be my aim? I want a situation where there is a change of attitude. I'm not so much about, I don't want punishment. I'm not trying to, I'm not looking for retribution. I'm not looking for revenge. I'm looking for a change of attitude. So if I get that, I won't need to go to court. However, if that's not forthcoming, if I'm not seeing the response I desire, that's an option that we will try.
When you say retribution, or when you say, what exactly do you want? Do you want an "I'm sorry, we are sorry" from the Air Force? It won't happen.
Oh
again.
yeah, we want an apology from the Air Force. And I want a situation where the Air Force makes a statement, even to their own people, that this is unacceptable. I want every member of Nigerian Armed Forces, whatever you are, to know that they will not be shielded by their superiors when they abuse the rights of the ordinary Nigerian citizens.
Okay.
I want them to know that it's illegal to brandish your weapon at unarmed people. It is. It's wrong. I want them to know you cannot violently attack women and children, not even men, on the streets of Nigeria for no reason. There's a law, and the law should be obeyed. If for any reason you felt that I was breaking the law, then follow the right processes. But there was no need for anybody to physically abuse me. For the past 2 days or 3 days, I just kept thinking in my mind, what was going through this man's head? I kind of figured that maybe he had some post-traumatic stress disorder, because I don't understand. I am not that tall. I'm about 165 centimeters in height. I just weigh about 72 kg. My BMI is 26.5. Even if he was unarmed and he was standing before me, he should be able to subdue me without lifting a finger. So why do you need to point your weapon at me in the first place? As in, that alone is trauma. That you pointed a weapon, your fingers are on the trigger, is trauma already. Then add to the fact that you now assaulted me. Why would you need to do that? That is not the reaction of a normal person. And so any person who acts like that should not be allowed to bear arms. He's dangerous.
So, having said any person who acts like that should not be allowed to bear arms, are you just going to be satisfied with "we're sorry, I'm sorry," or would you want to see the Army institute disciplinary action against this officer who slapped you?
I want to see disciplinary actions, but I don't want it to end there. I want to see them taking active steps to protect the members of the armed forces. There's something called post-traumatic stress disorder. It is real, and it makes them act crazy. They need to have psychiatric evaluations. They have to have psychological care. They need to protect their people, because you can't send someone to a war zone and then bring him straight back to civilian life and tell him to keep peace. As in, the switch it's not easy for humans to make. You can't tell someone, shoot somebody dead today and then come in and use non-lethal force. They don't switch like that. And I think that's our problem, because, you have policemen shooting out armed robbers and seeing their colleagues falling dead beside them, and the same policemen, they are not told, okay, you just killed somebody, take off 6 months, let's make sure you're okay. The same policemen, you tell them to go and break up a riot, they will shoot somebody again.
Absolutely.
So you can have armed forces sent around the world to different war zones and then bring them into the city and tell them to keep the peace within. They are not supposed to interact with civilians. And so, because I can't think of any rational reason why I would have been slapped. Even if I stood there insulting his mother, he didn't need to do that. The degree of loss of control tells me that if nothing is done, these men could kill people tomorrow. And someone will find an excuse cover it up. So we can't continue this cover up. We just can't.
Absolutely.
Because if someone is trying to figure out what it is that I could have said or done that provoked him, I have thought the whole thing through for the past 3 days. And the only thing I can think of was he wasn't normal. Because even when everybody else started shouting, why did this happen? He didn't make a word. He didn't make a sound. No peep. He just kept running. So perhaps he himself didn't expect to hit me.
You know,
so if I don't see a seriousness in the Airforce in addressing this issue, they are not only not protecting us as citizens, they're not protecting their officials. They're not. Because what was the state of mind of that individual before you gave him a gun and put him behind the hillocks? You know the danger of giving somebody a gun when his mind is in a messed up state. Do we even consider these things? We have so much extrajudiciary killings in Nigeria. They're all buried. And we think that if we continue to allow these people in society, it will stop. It won't. Somebody has to shout. We have to start taking things seriously. People's lives matter.
Indeed. The body count as far as extrajudicial killings by security officers in Nigeria who are paid with taxpayers' money to protect the entire populace, it's been piling. The amount of human rights abuses, it's been piling up. And we live in a country where people who have a uniform and a gun feel they have a right to treat every other person who doesn't have a gun and a uniform anyhow. It's wrong. And I admire, I support what you're saying. Avwebo Ochuko, I really support it. Another question on my mind before we let you go is, what in the name of motherland Nigeria, what in the name of Nigeria are the Air Force doing, conducting policing on the street? I don't get it. I've been thinking about it since you've been talking, and I don't get it. During the lockdown, I see military officers manning checkpoints, in some places, just as you have police officers manning checkpoints. And I'm wondering, what in the name of Mother Nigeria are the soldiers doing policing during the lockdown? And I'm asking myself, is that not degrading, demotion, downgrading of the status, the responsibility, and the pedigree of the military officer, be it Navy, be it Air Force, be it Army? And that Air Force, Nigerian Air Force, we have some of them fighting Boko Haram. And they're throwing bombs at Boko Haram. Some have lost their lives. These are heroes of this country called Nigeria. Are being sent to patrol the streets to pick up unarmed civilians. Air Force. What a sad day. What a sad occurrence. Sad. Air Force. We'll just read some messages here. Dr. Yola, but we grew up seeing these people. We know what they're meant to be doing. They're not meant to be policing. I'm not saying the police are any less responsible or have any less pedigree, but policing is different from being in the Air Force. It's to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They protect the territorial, they defend us from invasion. And this, I see some of them carrying bags for VIP in the airport. And I say, what is going on? And now an Air Force officer has been sent to patrol the streets of Port Harcourt to pick up people who are moving about during a lockdown and end up slapping. You talked about PTSD. Who knows? These are guys who sometimes are meant to be in the barracks. And they only release them when all hell breaks loose and the police can't control affairs. So how is this lockdown, is that uprising or a breakdown of public law and order that is overwhelming the police, that the Air Force has to be called in? Has it gotten to the level? I have copies of Bring the Nigerian Constitution. It's somewhere down there. Please bring for me. I'll let my doctor friend go very soon. But it's at the bottom. They're green behind. They're meant to come out when everything goes haywire. It's a booklet, Constitution at the back. Bottom, down, green. They're meant to come out when all hell breaks loose. Green, small booklet, textbook, Constitution, please. When all hell breaks loose. And at the back, bottom. So, sorry, Doc. When Air Force is pointing a gun at an unarmed, innocent, responsible doctor, when we have Boko Haram rampaging in northern Nigeria. Thank you, Sammy. It's just a sad day for that uniform. I'll read some messages here. Kede Ibiang says it's really appalling that security officials in Nigeria have used this lockdown period to assault and harass citizens unlawfully. As a doctor myself, I'm very happy about the decision by the NMA. Esiri Udoagan says this is appalling and the force members involved in this should not be allowed to get away with it. It's a shame how we treat our medical personnel in this country, especially in the time of a pandemic. Really it is. Acho Modu, a lawyer, says international humanitarian law forbids anybody from maltreating any health worker. Doctors, nurses, etc. even during armed conflict and war. The Geneva Convention of 1949 and additional protocols of 1977 protects health workers. I doubt if River State COVID-19 Task Force guys understand the enormity of the crime they are committing. Acho Modu, thank you very much. Kedel is back, says, I sincerely hope that these officials are caught and brought to book. Bomo Latte Emmanuel says Nigeria police are the most devilish men in uniform world. Okay, but this one, Air Force. So, Greg Billionaire de Soa says the Air Force soldiers involved should be brought to book and dismissed from the service. Rafael Emerenini says Port Harcourt is gradually becoming a theater of war and unsafe place to live in. Well, we hope not. We hope not. It's a sad one, but let's not generalize, okay? Chiamaka Ifediora says, River State, Andayo Jasper says, Nigeria police is beyond to be corrected. Okay, this one is Air Force. Believe it or not. people are saying police because they can't even begin to, doctor, they can't even begin to understand and believe that the Air Force will even come into such a matter. And they are saying police. Sure, a lot of them will be surprised when they hear it's the Air Force. I'll find that portion of the Constitution. But Anayo Jasper says Nigeria police is beyond correction. Just wish the perpetrators of this act will be sanctioned according to law. Human right is sacrosanct no matter what we're fighting. Talk less of an essential worker during this period. Ekekwe says yes, the uniformed personnel should be brought to book and dismissed. Osareme Ero says this is disgusting. What kind of country is this? Obiefule Amara says the decision taken by the enemy is the best decision right now, since doctors are no longer considered as essential workers. If they are not breaking hands of surgeons, they are slapping doctors. It's okay. Really sad indeed. Deborah Onya Omelu says this is horrible. We have many other messages here. Kenneth Ibiame is back, says, okay, I think I've read this message already. Word Made Alive, I think I've read your message already. Before we go, because we've taken a lot of time, any final words from you, Dr. Otoide? What would you say, can the government, be it federal government or River State government, in any way do anything to prevent such occurrences from happening? Because the Air Force won't just step out like that to move around. This is a civilian crisis, as a health crisis. We're not fighting a war on anybody, but instead of fighting the virus, we see them fighting the people who are the victims of the virus. So for the civilian rulers of Nigeria, the executive, River State Governor, and President Buhari, what can you say to them about this? Because today it's you, tomorrow it could be another person.
This is a very interesting one. I have always wondered how we can hide in our houses from the virus. Because I don't understand. If you lock everybody in the houses, the virus will stay outside. Mm-hmm. Does it know the difference between outside and inside? Mm-hmm. The winds not carry it here. to wherever we are. And interestingly, America is recording that 66% of patients infected were sitting in their houses. So while we are responding to do our best to protect our populace, we shouldn't kill them in the houses. And when they step outside, we shouldn't kill them outside either. So I believe that the government is doing everything they feel is in the best interest of the people. But I think sometimes they need to put themselves in the position of the people and ensure that the situations that you design do not worsen a critical situation. We have security forces to protect us, not to attack us. So if you want us to stay indoors, then the security forces can do a better job of ensuring that we are indoors, ensuring that all we require is available to us. Why are they not delivering foodstuffs and relief materials instead of carrying guns and pursuing people around the place? Should be delivering materials to the houses so that you know that the security guys are there to protect you.
Absolutely.
Instead, they are a threat to you. You open your windows and you see them outside, you start getting afraid. That's not the purpose of security. Security should make you feel secure,
safe,
not feel afraid.
Yeah.
So I think we need to redress our... I don't think anybody wants to be ill. I don't think anybody wants to be ill. So anybody who is stepping out of their house has a reason. So if you put security men on the street, they should be accessible. They are human beings. If you need something and you're going to step out of your house, rather than step out, why can't you tell the security officer, this is my problem, and then he presents the situation, or he arranges a situation where that problem can be solved in such a way that you don't contravene the law. So I feel that we have turned the whole thing upside down. We have the security forces pointing guns and aggression at the citizens instead of protecting them. Can we change it? Can we turn that back?
It's unfortunate. Before you go, I'd just like to read this to you, because, to hear that the Air Force are patrolling the streets and end up slapping an unarmed individual, civilian who was not committing any crime, and threw them in a government set-up, government-built, taxpayer-funded, because you're paying your taxes, a funded institution meant to house people who are ill from a virus that is killing people around the world. It's quite unfortunate. I want to read this to you. This is Section 217 of the Nigerian Constitution, Armed Forces of the Federation. It says, subsection 1, there shall be an armed forces for the Federation which shall consist of an army. Dr. Todd, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. So it says there shall be an armed forces for the Federation which shall consist of an army, a navy, and an air force, and such other branches of the armed forces of the Federation as may be established by an act of the National Assembly. It goes on to say, the Federation shall, subject to an act of the National Assembly made in that behalf, equip and maintain the armed forces as may be considered adequate and effective for the purpose of, this is the purpose of the armed forces. A, defending Nigeria from external aggression. That guy who slapped you, as unfortunate as that is, was meant to be defending Nigeria, is paid
from external aggression.
So now you, Dr. Tode, are the external aggressor. My God. B, Section 217, subsection B of the CFRN, as amended. Maintaining its territorial integrity, that's Nigeria's territorial integrity, and securing its borders from violation on land, sea, and air. So those Air Force guys were meant to defend Nigeria's territorial integrity, secure Nigeria's borders from the air. And they were on Ohamini Psychiatric Road, slapping an innocent, unarmed female medical doctor. Now, this is a one that is very important. And this is important because they are not stopped from coming onto the street, onto the road. Section 217, subsection 2C. Suppressing insurrection and acting in aid of civil authorities to restore order when called upon to do so by the president, but subject to such conditions as may be prescribed by an act of the National Assembly. So, in other words, if there is an insurrection and the civil authorities are overwhelmed, and they call on the Air Force or Army or Navy to come in to suppress that insurrection so that they can restore order. I wonder what insurrection Dr. Avwebo Ochuko Otoide was causing or started on that road as she innocently walked home from work. I wonder. And this is an indictment on the president, an indictment on the governor, and everybody who is concerned, even the National Assembly, who are mentioned in Section 217, that says, as may be prescribed by the National Assembly, for all these years, these things have been happening. These guys have been moving around and have been assaulting, not all of them, I know a lot of very brilliant and nice and jovial military men, but the ones who assault civilians. It should end. And this doctor is risking her life by speaking out. What about you guys at the National Assembly? What about you guys at the Government House in Abuja, in Port Harcourt? When are you going to speak up for the people? When are you going to speak up for the people? But when it comes to you, this is happening to me. Oh, they want to cause a state of emergency. Oh, rise up and fight for me. Oh, the president to say ABC. You're all National Assembly. Oh, they don't want to pay us or whatever. They owe you money. What about these things that concern Nigerians that are enshrined in the Constitution? Why should the armed forces be turning on the people? This is a Nigerian Constitution. Why should the armed forces be turning on the civilian populace? It is wrong and it has to stop. And shame on those leaders who do nothing about this. Dr. Avwebo Ochuko, thank you very much for your time. You're a brave person, and we sincerely appreciate what you're doing. We'll keep supporting you. Don't stop.
Thank you so much, Kofi, for having me on your show today.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Good night.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us could die one day. But by all means, let us die knowing that we did not keep quiet in the face of nonsense. When I die, I won't die now. I have many years ahead of me by the special grace of the God whom I serve. But when that day comes, I would go knowing I was not a wimp. I didn't keep quiet when things were going wrong. I used my little space to speak up against. And I'm sure this doctor too will be satisfied that she didn't keep quiet. She struggled with these Air Force guys. You see how they're kitted up. They're kitted up very sharply. Nobody police. Police are civil. Air Force. Their guns are not these guns. Air Force. She struggled and held her. She's a strong woman. So I'm going to give you my phone. They dragged the phone. Constitution says they have to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They have to defend the borders of Nigeria. And then if there's an insurrection or uprising and the civilian authorities now say, oh, we need your help, they can come in. It's medical doctor. Jerry, we have to go. It's unfortunate. If you want to call me before I go, I'll put up the number on the post. But if you want to just say a word before I want to read some comments now. 08062099556 is the number to call. All right, if you'd like to say something about this, 08062099556 is the number to call. Please feel free to do so. I'll be glad to read from you. 08062099556. Did you get that? You got that? You got that? You recorded that? Okay. Because we have to circulate it so that people will hear, authorities will hear what's going on and they'll act on this. It's wrong. If you want to call me now, you can do that very quickly before I go. Actually, Modu, you've sent another message. I'm sure you know more than I do about these constitutional matters because you're a lawyer. It's quite unfortunate. I want to thank all of you for your time. Let me see. Do I have a new message here? Okay, yes. Lawal Salusi says, it's really unfortunate. Thank God for your life. Yes, indeed. Israel Madu says, okay, I think I've read this already. Abraham Zerain Michael says, this is terribly disheartening. Juliet Oki Zota says, we are finished in this country. Who will save us Who will save us? It is a question I keep asking myself. I think I read this already. Okay, Achomod, I think I read your message already. I don't know where we have. Okay. A Siri Udogan says, "Are you the first doctor? The nerve, the utter disregard for medical personnel is really sad. Really sad indeed. Gentlemen and ladies, or ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Osareme Ero says, "Are you even a woman?" Asked by another woman because you didn't cower and speak humbly. We're not okay in this part of the world, my dear. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate. I want to thank all of you for your time. We have to go. We'll keep doing this as long as God gives us the strength, the grace and all that. My name is Kofi Bartels. Late Night Talk returns tomorrow, Thursday, for the 4th edition this week. We have a lot to talk about. We have a wonderful guest who will be coming to join us. Till then, God bless you. Have a nice night. My name is Kofi Bartels, signing out. Please don't forget to share this post. Share it on your page if you're on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, please share it on your social media accounts so other people can watch it. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook right now, like the page and follow. Like and follow. Okay? And also please invite your friends to also subscribe to my page and like and follow on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification button, the bell, so that anytime I go live, you'll be notified and you can come. But every weekday 9:30, sometimes I don't start exactly 9, like today, bit of a technical issue. But every day 9:30, Monday to Friday, I'm here for you. God bless you. Good night.